Alright, here we are on a Saturday morning, bright and early. You can tell by the way I look and the way I sound. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about something that's we're doing right now. We're using technology for me to be able to make this video. Alright? And I was reading articles and whatnot about, and I saw some advertisements for how they want technology to do everything. The internet connects to everything. Your cell phone can connect to just about, run your household, everything else. The problem I have with all of that is that it's based upon a power source. The power source is electricity right now. And here's the thing about electrical products, including those that are powered by solar power. They're all capable of being destroyed by an EMP. EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. It's a byproduct of nuclear explosions and some other manufacturing processes. And over the years it's gotten more sophisticated from being this huge piece of machinery that you might have seen in one of the Ocean's 11 movies, Ocean's 12 or whatever it was, down to a size of a suitcase, and that could take out a square block. What it does is it renders every electronic device in the area useless. Can't be fixed. Need to throw them out, get a new one. If it's been speculated that that would be the way to attack the United States. You would leave all the infrastructure in place, but you wouldn't be able to use any weapons or anything. You'd be susceptible to, I want to say infrastructure, not infrastructure. We'd leave all your humans in place, and everything else would be useless. You couldn't drive a car. Most of the weaponry that we have has any kind of electronic sighting devices, or tanks that need electronic motors to move their barrels up and down and around, and the sight and everything like that, all of that becomes absolutely useless. To my knowledge, nothing can be, you can't really shield your stuff unless you put it way underground or something like that, and then that stuff could be used. All right, which that means that simply that the military would have the weapons and the technology, and the rest of the world would just be sitting around ready to be put into slavery. And it's this, and if you think about that, put your phone down, okay, and try to operate all day without your cell phone, or all day without going to a computer. Now, there are people that do that, all right, but they still use telephones. All right, whether they still have a tendency to buy cell phone, those cell phones, what they call burners, and use them for a day, even though they're trying to stay off the grid. They become useless. All right, there's no electricity in your house anymore. Your lights don't go on. You can't light your stoves because most of them have these electronic starters. The batteries in your flashlight won't work. This is the effect of something as simple as called an electromagnetic pulse. The world isn't ready for that. We couldn't handle it. I don't know a person that I know. Now, my wife and I came out of the United States. My wife didn't speak that much English when we were there. She's better at it now, but she didn't have a cell phone, other than, and if she did, all she did was call her friends or her family back here. Now down here, she's on the cell phone. You see these kids, and her whole family's on the cell phone. You get together, they're on the cell phone, going through pictures and whatever, looking for this, looking for that, seeing who's talking. You can't do that. If you couldn't do that, what would you do? How would you survive? I don't know. Wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't be able to do this, but everything else I do, I could still do. I could still whittle, I could still carve, I could still eat, I could still make a fire and cook food. So I'm not, worried about that. I could still find some sort of way to refrigerate food too. I mean, that's not. I mean, I'm old enough that I remember things. How to make certain things. How to repair certain things. And those people would be worth their weight in gold. You know, the guy sitting in the motorcycle shop or the car shop that's a mechanic that can build things. You're now looking at, you know, God, really, somebody who can fix something. You can't fix a item that's been destroyed by an imp. All right, you can't do that. You can't repair those products, as far as I know. They're shot. Throw them in the garbage. But if you went out and you take a car, combustion engine car, you might be able to get the engine to run. You would be able to get the engine to run. You would probably have to find, I don't know how you would do it with the spark plugs and whatnot, but you could, you know, the old style engine without a computer chip and everything in it, you could probably get them to run. Whether or not you could keep the batteries alive or not, I don't know. You know, I don't know how that would happen. You know, hand crank generators would probably charge a battery. Once you got the battery charged, maybe you could probably, I know they could repair an alternator or a generator. You know, on the older vehicles. You know, you're looking for something from the 20s or 30s. You know, even, you know, antique cars would be, you know, premium because they would run. You know, you wouldn't be able to refine gasoline, but there's enough fuel out, different types of fuel out there that you could find. I don't know the effects on solar batteries, so I'm not sure if you could use them to power things. But I do know that 90, from what I've read, roughly 95% of everything that we do today, use today, would be useless. And I don't know how many people could survive that, you know. I think I could survive for a while anyhow. I don't know how long, because I don't feel like killing a lot of people just to survive, you know. And if you're surviving and your neighbor isn't surviving, you know your neighbor's going to try and take what you have. I mean, you see these movies based on the apocalypses and the scenarios that you see, and you see roving gangs. That's what's going to happen. You know, people aren't generous. People don't care about each other. Some will, some won't. Pacifists will die and get run over. If you're not willing to fight, then you're not going to survive. That's why I've always said I'm not really sure I want to survive a nuclear war. You know, I don't think that would be a nice place to live. If I was 20 years old and horny and everything, maybe it would be a nice place to live. I don't know. I mean, maybe I would be better conditioned to survive. I don't think it would be a nice place, but maybe I'd be better conditioned to survive in that not now, you know. But it's hard to tell people that we're too dependent upon technology. That you know, put your cell phones aside for a while. Oh man, I can't do that. I mean, I grew up in a generation where I had you know, if I wanted to make a phone call, I either had to have a dime on me and find a payphone, or I had to go home and make the phone call. You know, I couldn't talk to people on the way to work. You know, and that was fine with me because I never enjoyed work. So that noise in the background is my wife's son who's staying with us. You know, waking up finally. Well, listen, there's things to think about today. You know, technology. Can you live without it? And when I say technology, I'm talking about a stove. I'm talking about a mixer. They're all forms of technology. Could you live without your coffee maker? Could you make coffee without a coffee maker? You know, do you have a percolator that you could put on a fire and make coffee? Could you make coffee in a pot, the way the Army does? You can. It won't taste good, but you can do it. But the problem is getting the coffee. How do you get these products now that there's nothing there to refine them and whatnot? How do you refine them? You know, if you live where you got a coffee tree, you got coffee plants like down here. How do you go and get the coffee and refine it yourself? How do you roast the coffee, you know, without timers and things like this? Simple life is something that we can't handle anymore. we need this complicated life with all the machines and whistles and lights and everything to make our life what we. It's supposed to make our life more simple, but it's only a temporary fix, guys. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you later. Take care.